Yeah.
Hey, Randy.
Yes.
Let's go for a road trip, man. Walmart. I can get Valentine's candy for my girlfriends because it's on discount now. So let's go for a road trip.
Hey, you could stock up, get your inventory set for your stable of ladies there, huh?
I call it a cadre.
Cadre, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So your wife apparently has not been informed of your,
Oh
your
no, she
plans.
knows about the cadre, but and so as long as it's all in my mind, Randy, she doesn't care.
That's perfect. Yeah. Your candy's cheap, and so there's that. Big a lot of stuff to cover today, Teddy. So let's get started.
Yeah.
Randy Wooden with Goodwill Industries of Northwest North Carolina. Welcome to President's Day, by the way, for a Monday. And like I said, with Goodwill, help professionals with their job search. I run our professional center. So find me on LinkedIn if you're in a job search. Happy to help you. We're free. So just look me up. We'll get you on the calendar. But yeah, a couple of times a week, I get together with Teddy Burriss and we talk some tips today and stories and all this date and history and all that stuff. And then on Wednesday, we have our regular big 1 hour show. So Teddy, how about you tell folks a little bit about you and we'll dive into some of this research that I've done.
Yeah. So I'm excited to hear that you're still as enthusiastic about doing that work that we talked about having you do, Randy.
It's painstaking. I'm telling you, man. I stay up. I used to have oil at night, like the midnight oil, but I burned it all. So I just do it in the dark now, and it shows. Yeah. So we'll see how it goes.
For those who've never met me, I'm a LinkedIn strategist, trainer, and coach. I also do Google Workspace, helping people master using a business Gmail as business tools. Love doing coaching and one-on-one work. Love doing corporate training and public speaking and showing up where I can help people with either LinkedIn or Google Workspace. But Randy and I get together a couple times a week.
Yeah.
And we play around a little bit, but Randy will share with you the research he did about this day in history. Then we'll talk about our stories. So Randy, go ahead, show us what we're.
Yeah, well, first off, it is President's Day, so naturally I had to look that up and figure out when did it start and how and all that. So let me back up a little bit. The year was 1885. It actually began then as a celebration of George Washington's birthday. So I'm assuming the date fluctuated. I don't know what his birth date was, but I assume that it fluctuated based on his actual date of birth. But then in 1971, Congress got the bright idea to lump together holidays. For example, Lincoln's birthday, President Washington's birthday, they call it the Uniform Monday Holiday Act. So they did that. They call it President's Day. But if you think about it, Memorial Day, it's always on a certain Monday, that kind of a thing. Labor Day, same way. So it doesn't fall on the same date every year. Yeah. Same thing with MLK Day. And the idea was to create a 3-day weekend for workers. So that's how that all got started. It's the third Monday in February.
I don't need Congress to create a 3-day weekend for me. I've already done that already.
You just take it whenever you want to. You're my hero. All right, births on this date. A little trivia for you. You ever heard of this guy, Charles Aldrich? I guarantee you haven't.
Charles Aldrich.
You don't know who the guy is.
I'm telling you, that name sounds familiar, Randy, but I have no clue who he is.
Now, you know him better by the actor by the name of Gale Gordon.
Ah.
And you may still say, well, who the heck is Gale Gordon? And if you're our age, you might remember. Well, if I'm Teddy's age, I might remember. He was. So I looked him up because I thought Gale Gordon was Mr. Drysdale on the Beverly Hillbillies. So I went on online and I'm looking, and in his bio, it doesn't say anything about that. It's all about I Love Lucy. Oh. He and Lucille Ball were good friends. As a matter of fact, and I'm doing this by memory. Remember William Frawley, the Mertzes, Fred and Ethel Mertz?
Yeah.
Gordon was going to play the part of Fred Mertz. But he was under contract. I don't know if it was Dennis the Menace or some other TV show. So he couldn't do it. And that's when Frawley came in. But he kept in touch with Lucille Ball and so forth. And he ultimately did become a banker later on as Lucy went into her second show, the Lucille Ball show or whatever. So he did play a banker. But get a load of this. So I looked up. I said, well, who the heck was the guy that played Drysdale on the Hillbillies? And if you want to spend 2 or 3 minutes and kill 2 minutes of your life, do a Google search for both of these guys. They could be twin brothers. They had the same little pencil thin mustache. They
Yeah.
looked the same, really did. This other guy's name on the Hillbillies was Raymond Bailey.
Huh.
Whatever. But look them up. They could be brothers. And so there you go. Also, births on this date. He was the first black actor to win an Oscar, Sidney Poitier, born in 1927. The movie in 1963 was Lilies in the Field. I never saw that, but I do remember To Sir With Love, and he was in that as well. Some musicians born in this date, 1950, Walter Becker of Steely Dan, also Kurt Cobain, Nirvana in 1967. They're both deceased. And Rihanna, who was just on the Super Bowl halftime.
She's pregnant too, Randy.
Yeah, born on this date in 1988. So there you go. A few deaths, a little trivia for you. The guy's name, he died in 1920. His name is Robert Peary, Peary. Any ideas? Robert Peary. No. American explorer and the first apparently to reach the geographic North Pole.
Oh, but I got you. Yep. I do remember that. I wasn't there, but I do remember those conversations.
I bet it was cold. I hope he brought his mittens with him.
Yeah.
Also died on this date was 1992. Dick York. He played Darren on Bewitched, and he was replaced. As you may know, there were two Darrens. He was replaced after season 6 with another guy named Dick Sargent. Yeah. Any idea what happened to York and why he was no longer on the show?
Now, wait, this was on Bewitched, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Did she wiggle her nose at him?
It made him disappear. No, he blew his back out. He was acting in a movie or something. He just wrecked his back horribly, so he could barely move, and so they replaced him. Events on this date, the year was 1792. The U.S. Postal Service was created.
Somebody linked the first stamp?
Any idea how expensive the first stamps were, by any chance? And by the way, it depended on the distance that it was going to travel.
Oh, really?
Not the weight of the product necessarily, but
what year? 1700?
1792.
I'm guessing a penny, man.
I would have guessed 1 or 2 cents. It said 6 cents to 12 cents.
Huh.
I don't think postcards weren't
back there. Of course, they had to use horses.
Yeah, I guess so. Batman and Robin comic strip started in 1944, and John Glenn in 1962 became the first American to orbit the Earth.
Yeah.
So there you go.
That's all a myth. That didn't happen.
Well, you remember, hey, remember a few weeks ago we had Scott Sullivan on talking about solar power, and we asked him, how did that come about?
Yeah.
And he said it was 1958 when the space program needed to be able to have people up in space longer than a battery would hold out. And so they had to capture the light, and that's how solar energy actually was harnessed. But again, Glenn didn't stay up there very long, just went around the Earth and decided to go home. I think he had to go to the bathroom.
Could have been.
I'm not sure they had a bathroom.
Him for a honeydew list.
Or the honeydew list. I don't think he had a bathroom on the capsule, so they had to make a pit stop and grab a burger. So, quick story for you. Nothing huge, but I mean, what a fun Super Bowl that was. A week or so back, and exciting. I mean, there are all kinds of people complaining about this call or that call, and whatever. But it's so refreshing to have a game that kind of lives up to the hype. It was supposed to be a close game, and it was. So, I don't really have a huge dog in the hunt, but you always like to have I do like to have a decent, fun game and well played. And it, by and large, really was. So I hope your team won. And if they didn't, then there's always next year. So that's it, Teddy. What you got, man?
All right. So here's my story. I've mentioned this to you before, Randy. I joined a online coaching program called TaskHuman, TaskHuman, HUMAN.com. It's all mobile app based. And I share that with you because if you're a coach, well, in any type of area of life, career coach, business coach, personal coach, relationship coach, et cetera, it may be something you may want to consider becoming a part of. It's absolutely a side hustle kind of a thing. It's not going to make you millions of dollars in any stretch of my imagination. But if you're a coach and you like to help people, go look at TaskHuman. You may see it being something that you want to experiment with. Furthermore, if you run a business if you run the professional development, the learning and development area of any business, look at TaskHuman for your company. There is a plethora of solutions and service providers on there. Again, all different types of coaching, most of it being professional and business related. It could be a great, what's the word I'm looking for, benefit or add-on to your learning and development for your company. TaskHuman.com is the name of it. So
nice.
I'm having fun doing it myself, Randy.
Good. I may have to look into that. So if anybody needs any advice on how to, do hairstyles or whatever, I think I could start with
pull that off, Randy.
A clean slate. I start with a clean slate. So
every morning,
every day. Every day. Hey, we've got a good guest coming up, by the way. Leslie Speas returns to her show. She will be on the 22nd of February. She's been on three times, HR background. So she is going to talk about an assessment. Now, Teddy, I think you and I have both taken that here recently.
She said I passed with flying colors.
Oh. She didn't tell me that.
Oh, she didn't?
No.
Oh, we'll cut this part out, Randy.
Now, I think I broke the assessment. But no, in all seriousness, it's called the Working Genius. And is this just another assessment? There's millions of them out there, whatever. You be the judge of that. Here's the reality: is that if you're a manager, do you want everybody who has the same strengths and mindset of Teddy Burriss? Not on your life.
Yes, but go ahead with your ideas.
Let's go with it. Let's assume that you don't. Well, this allows you to understand the various strengths that may be, or gaps that maybe they're missing on your team. And so you may want to be in tune to that as you look to build teams. Yeah. And also for you yourself personally to understand what you're good at and why and so forth. And that can help you as you go about your job search and career development to understand where not your weaknesses, but things that really drain you.
Oh yeah.
It just drain you. And do you want to purposefully take on those roles when you can also know things that are really in your wheelhouse that really energize you? And it's sort of a know thyself sort of thing. So we'll walk through that with Leslie, and that'll be on Wednesday, 11:55. But hey, I got a quick tip for you, Teddy. I saw this online. I've seen it, and I think intuitively you know it, but we're human and we want to be validated. We want to feel like what we're doing and saying is correct. But when you engage with somebody, when you're talking with them about, let's say, a topic that has room for wiggle, so it's not like, okay, how much is 2 + 2? I mean, if you're going to argue that with me, we need to move on. It is what it is. But when you have these conversations, do you have them to try to learn and grow? Or is it simply almost like an arm wrestling thing that I just want to win? Yeah. I'm going to have this discussion to show you that I'm superior, that my mindset is where you need to be. And I would encourage you to approach it with the former and to try to be a better listener and maybe learn a few things along the way. Be surprised. I mean, it's a big world. So that's my tip, Teddy.
I'm with you, man. Hey, let me here. I'll align my tip with that.
Okay.
Because I just talked about this a couple of days ago. Okay. Here's my grandfather's quote. My grandfather was 92, 93 years old. Yeah. He's laying on his deathbed, 2 days away from dying. And I'm sitting there talking with him. And there's lots of stuff we talked about I may tell you about one day. And but one of the things he said to me, now, by the way, he had just had skin surgery. And he had his ear completely cut off about 6 months ago. So all he had was a little hole in his head. And he said to me, Randy, he said, "Hey, Teddy," actually they called me Lee. He said, "Hey, Lee." Because he was a very satirical guy and a lot of sarcasm. He said, "You got 2 ears and 1 mouth. Remember, God said, use them appropriately. Listen twice as much as you talk."
Makes good sense.
That's a great quote, Randy. But then my grandfather, because he's sarcastic and satirical, witty and all that kind of stuff, he goes, "By the way, I only have 1 ear and 1 mouth, so I can talk as much as I listen." I put away my grandfather's sarcasm and remember, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth.
Yeah.
Listen twice as much.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to hear. Teddy, every time you open your mouth, I hear all kinds of stuff and I learn every day. So I appreciate it, my friend. Hey, good show Wednesday coming up, right? So be sure to join us.
Yep. We'll see you guys all on Wednesday. So take care. Have a good day.
All right.
All right. Bye.